on our laptop. So we're going to record this Zoom session. We're got it on Facebook Live, and of course it's live for you guys. So we are gonna the point of our first Zoom session today is to really go to the very basics of of plugging everything in the very first setup. So this is for new schools, new teachers, or just maybe a refresher if we didn't do it a lot last year. A good way to start. So, and Facebook Live is here too. So I've already got the cameras set up and mounted on the tripod here behind me. And I'll kind of pull up the cords. We've already got power plugged in to the camera, and we've got it up on the tripod. So we're taking our mini USB, mini HDMI actually, too many letters, mini HDMI going into our little side window. Sometimes I need to move this back so that I can get to the window and get our cord. Your HDMI cord might be a straight out version. We also have we use the right angle version. Then we've got the full HDMI that will go into our Blackmagic mini recorder, going into the USB side. And coming out the other side will be our white Thunderbolt cable. Now we've found over the last couple of years that it is important to note, if I can kind of zoom in there, that you've got a lightning bolt on the top of the mini recorder. You also have a lightning bolt on one side of your cable. So we want lightning bolt to lightning bolt. We found that you can actually put it in upside down. That's not good because it doesn't connect right, but somehow it still fits in there. So lightning bolt to lightning bolt, and then the Thunderbolt cable going into your Thunderbolt port. Now, something else that I've already done with the setup is I've got the USB soundboard. So we've got announcers that when we go to do games, I've got the soundboard plugged into power. I have the USB cable coming out of the soundboard, and I already have the USB cable plugged in to the laptop itself. It's important to have the computer, or the camera and the soundboard on and plugged in before you open up Wirecast or any other programs. That way, Wirecast sometimes doesn't, actually a lot of times doesn't recognize things. If you have Wirecast open and then plug them in, it won't work right for you. So we always say to plug in everything, make sure it's on, and so that basically that connection is trying to go, and then you can open up Wirecast. So that's a quick overview. Keith, Audrey, you guys have any questions, wave at me quick and stop me, but otherwise we'll keep going.
I'm fine.
All righty. Then on we go, and I will get my Wirecast open, which always takes, of course, just a minute here. We're gonna look at Wirecast 7 is what we're gonna do everything in today. It looks a little bit like 6, but there's some differences. So if you have 6, a lot of the processes apply in 7 as well, but they might look a little bit different in 6. For instance, getting the scoreboard into your stream looks just a little bit different to get it into 6 versus 7, but the end result obviously is the same, that we have it going. And somewhere I've got a Wirecast that should be open here. Bear with me just a second. It's still loading. There we go. Empty document. All right. You guys should be seeing now my screen here, which is my Wirecast is open and all that. You guys see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. If I don't unplug anything with my feet as I kick it. So this is what 7 looks like when we first open it. We have our multiple layers, just like we've had in 5 or 6, whatever version you guys might have. What is different is, and I'm going to actually minimize that all the way down there. What is a little bit different actually is the editing. So when I go to edit a shot, I still have preview and live, but instead of all of the things I want to do, like output settings or something like that, instead of being a new window, now they kind of pop out from the side here. So that's a little bit different, but it's actually a little nicer when you go in to start editing a shot or something like that. And I'm going to squeeze my Wirecast down just a little bit so that it all fits on the screen so you can see that. So I still have my buttons up here in the top right. Both buttons lit up, the green and the red. Obviously, I can see both preview on the left and my live screen on the right. If I wanted to see just preview, I'm clicking on the green button. And if I want to see just live, this is what we recommend, that once you've got everything set up, is that you use just the live preview or the live area, so that you've got all your other shots set up. Takes a little bit less of the total usage, the computer usage of your computer. So, but for today, we're going to use both, since we're not doing a lot of streaming yet. So the first thing we want to do is add a shot and get our camera to come in. So when we click on the plus button, before it was hover over there, and then you were going to select a camera or a media file or whatever. Now you're just hitting the plus button and you have all the options set up right there. So what we want is still a camera or a capture device, and we are going to capture our Ultra Studio mini recorder, which is no different. And as we can see there, sometimes 7 does that, but you can see that now we have our live camera shot. There's Sarah with the phone as well, doing the Facebook stuff. So like I said before, this is what looks a little bit new if you haven't used 7 before, is that you will see, if you click on your double arrows over here on the side, you will see the shot properties. So everything I'm editing in here is all of the layers within the shot. So and all of my attributes, which had been in 5 and 6, they are now across the top up here. So I can position this. I could something that's a little bit easier to do now is to scale something. So if you've got a media file, say you've drug in a graphic, a score graphic or a team graphic, and you want to resize that, you can actually click here and just resize it. And you can lock it or unlock it depending on what you want to see. We'll just go ahead and bring that to about 67%, I guess is where it was. You can rotate it, so you can actually make that kind of flip around a little bit, which is kind of fun. Again, for multiple layers, this is where you can start to really kind of play around with some more stuff. And cropping, which would be important when we get back to the scoreboard, the how to crop and where to crop will come up again pretty good. Here is your audio. Obviously, if this was a layer that I wanted to have, that I wanted the audio coming in, then I'm going to leave it at 100%. Or if I had a music file, I might drop that all the way down here to 40% or whatever. And you can see it's still over here in my preview. Pan is something that you don't really want to mess with usually, because pan, remember, in the audio world, means left and right. And so if I go pan down to 7%, then everything's going to come out of my left ear and basically nothing out of my right. Conversely, if I go up here to 94%, now everything's going to be in my right ear. So usually you always want to leave that right at 50%. So you basically have, even if it was a mono channel, you're going to have it coming out of both ears, if you will. And then, like I said, your audio volume, wherever you want to set that. And then the meters to check to see if you've got audio coming into whatever shot you just created. The chroma key properties, this is where we used the scoreboard. It's going to look really similar if we're going to use the chroma key or not. You can always pick that key color, and let's say we can get rid of our gray, or we can get rid of our white, or all sorts of fun stuff. We'll leave that for now, but you can pick your key color there. The build in and build out properties, you can actually if you've got some students that are really savvy with doing graphics and whatnot, you can actually build in a kind of a custom little graphic that'll spin in or fade in, or it will get bigger or something like that, that you can actually build into the property of the element, and it will do that whenever you want it to come in. Pretty technical stuff when you start talking about the build in and build out properties, but if you got someone good enough to do it, that's the place to go. And then this is the property of what you have selected within the layer shows up here at the end. And this is where, as we get to the soundboard and whatnot, right now all we have is the mini recorder. So that's what I was selected on in the layer. But as we get to the soundboard, or we get to a media file, whatever it might be, all of the different properties will show up in here. The nice thing about Wirecast 7 versus 6, 5, and anything before that is that 7 will actually remember where the scoreboard is. All you have to do is reconfigure it to make sure that it's going to the window that you want it to go to. But it will actually remember where you had that scoreboard. And so it makes the process a lot simpler, actually, to get the scoreboard in each time. But anyway, so we've got our main shot here with the mini recorder, but we don't have anything except the audio of the mini recorder coming in. So that's what you see bouncing over here is actually the camera picking up my voice. So we can add another layer. And again, when I hit the plus button in the shot layers, I have all of these different options again. And I want to do a screen capture. So now what I want in my screen capture is I could name it here. Again, this is probably more for that initial setup. So I'm going to name it the scoreboard. I do want to capture video. I want to capture the window. I do not want to show the cursor. I do not want to capture the audio, not that there's any audio to go with it. And then I'm going to select the window and monitor. Now I have already got, well, it's not going to show up because I'm on a different, let me move this over here. I've already logged into a dashboard. So now here's my app down here. I have to redo this. Select the window. Oh, there we go. All right, we're going to try this again from the top. Screen capture. It's going to think. I'm going to name it the scoreboard. I do not want to see that. And now I can come down to Safari. Window, there we go. I have a feeling it's not wanting me to do this the way I want to do it. The pressure of doing this live is always a great learning experience too. We're going to try this one more time. Scoreboard. Undo the cursor. I want the window. There we go. Safari. Now I can hit OK. So now what it's grabbing is my Safari, and I can hit OK. So I can click down here, which is where I drug my Safari in, right? And so I have already logged into a dashboard, and this is something that you would do too, is log into your dashboard. I happen to log into Aurora's here. And along the top, we've got timeline and upload and videos and scoreboard. And so I've opened the spot where the scoreboard app is. Now, what's nice is we also did last year some really detailed video tutorials about how to get the scoreboard into Wirecast. This video up top applies to Wirecast 6, and this is kind of a quick refresher of 6. And then this is one that Taylor did actually to get the scoreboard into Wirecast 7. So there are some video tutorials built right into the place where you would open up the app. So this is where we're going to open up our scoreboard app, and then it changes over. And I'm going to make this just a little bigger so we can see everything this first time. So the scoreboard has a couple new functions this year. Christian from Osceola, who's now a sophomore at Nebraska Kearney, who has designed our scoreboard, has tweaked it, and it looks amazing. So again, once you have your events put in, you can always choose your event. That'll be up there. One thing that's kind of cool is we've implemented a drop-down feature, so you can find the exact team that you're playing for that scoreboard. So I've got my home team and my away team, and the design is something that you want to look at now. So the logo scoreboard is going to be the one that we've had for a couple years, where it looks nice. But basically, the only thing that's changed with the logo scoreboard is now the school logo will actually pull into the scoreboard itself. And so it kind of adds a new layer, a new element, if you will, to the scoreboard that we've had for a couple years. Retro was basically year one with the scoreboard. Pretty basic, pretty plain looking, but you can kind of customize some colors yourself. And the newest one is Stack. This might be a whole Zoom session by itself, actually, Sarah. We should probably do that too. Kind of go over some of the ways that Stack looks. But for this time, anyway, oh no, heck, let's just look at the Stack, shall we? And then let's pick our sport, which will be let's do a football one, and of course, it pulls in our minutes for the period, the halftime, and overtime does have minutes. He just put something in there, so we can go ahead and start our event. So this is what the new Stack scoreboard looks like. Yes, designed really closely to what ESPN might do. So all of the colors for the schools automatically pull in. The logo pulls in, and it operates the same way as the traditional logo one that was the horizontal one. It's just another option within your stream. If you're more comfortable looking at that horizontal one, by all means use that. You can still change the design within the app itself. So if you wanted to go, you could see how it brings in both of the school logos there. And if you wanted to go retro, this is what retro looks like too. But we'll go to Stack for now. And then what we're playing with around is you still have to kind of resize this within its window, because you can still click, and as you can see, your pop-outs where you can still edit everything still comes out to the side here. And it looks a little different because I have my Zoom stuff down at the bottom. Normally, you wouldn't be seeing all of this, obviously. But your hotkeys still work the same way. So the down arrow is still starting that clock. To the left arrow is adding a point to the home team, which will be on top. And the right arrow is adding points to the visitors. By the way, if you didn't know, you can kind of press and hold your right arrow or your left arrow for a second, then let up, and that automatically gives you 6 more points. That's kind of cool. The timeout menu is the up arrow. So I've hit up once, and now it says timeout menu. Let's say the home team has taken a timeout. So I hit the left arrow, and now is it 30 seconds or a minute? Well, football's always a minute. So when I hit my right arrow, now I've started a countdown for the time. And I've also got my flashing arrow up here, as so I know which timeout is being taken. I can click on it. Oops. And click on my flashing arrow. And if I wanted this timer to go away, I just hit end. That resets my clock back to wherever I had it. And you see it grays out the timeout window. And now I'm back to my original hotkey menu. So that's a little bit about how that works. So I've been doing all of this obviously within Safari, which we always recommend to use because it again lowers your CPU. And so I've got it ready. I've got it looking, but obviously I'm still, if I look back up into Wirecast, I'm still grabbing that entire window. So now I can come back up into Wirecast, and this is where you can start to look at your properties. You can scale it, rotate it, you can crop it. So we can crop from the left, and you'll notice that the green is gone. My goal in the next couple of days is to figure out the exact number of pixels that you can just type in to crop it neatly. but I'll do this just kind of quick just to show you for now. We crop from the top, and then we crop from the bottom. And then what you can see is actually, since we're in the preview window here, I can actually click on the scoreboard, and now I can move it wherever I want. So let's say I want to put this thing all the way down here in the corner. For instance, this is where scaling comes in. If I wanted to make that, I thought that scoreboard wasn't big enough, I can scale it to be really big. Now, obviously, that's taken up quite a bit there. But what we say is, 100% is what it was designed at. So I can click and just type in my 100%. Maybe I want 75%. Maybe that's big enough, and I can drop it down there in the corner. So all I've done is just click and drag that around to move it wherever. So that's the cool thing about that. Again, we don't have to worry about the audio because we're not grabbing any audio. We're not doing any chroma key. With this particular stack scoreboard, there's no chroma key to be used, so we don't have to worry about that. Again, if you wanted to build it in, you can. However, since we have it on the same layer as the mini recorder, that means it's going to flip the whole thing or scale the whole thing. That would be at Wirecast 202 or maybe 303 actually to layer that in correctly. And then here are the properties of the scoreboard. So this is what's nice about Wirecast 7 is that when I get done with my game and I save this template again, and I go back in to edit this, it's going to come up with nothing here. Even if I have my Wirecast open and I have Safari open, nothing's going to show up here right away. But all I have to do is come back to the shot. So I'm editing my main shot right here, clicking on the scoreboard app, and then I'm coming to the end. And I'm coming down here to configure. And that is where I can select Safari and select the scoreboard app and hit OK. And it's going to pop right back into where it was. You might have to do a little cropping, but it's a lot faster. And again, show cursor, selecting the window, all of that is still right here because it's all we're doing is capturing the screen. So that's what's nice about this version of Wirecast is that it remembers basically. So I can go back to my layers now, and so I've got a shot that has the mini recorder, which is still live. Hello, yeah, it's not just me standing there. So and the scoreboard in here. So let's say I wanted to add my soundboard so that I have announcers that can talk. So I'm going to hit my plus button again. And now I'm going to add a capture device, and I'm going to add the USB audio codec. So now what you should hear or what you should see, and again, this is all coming through because these microphones are picking me up the whole time, but this audio is picking me up. So what I always recommend is that we gray out our mini recorder so that we're not picking up. This is especially if you have the soundboard. We want to gray out the audio of the mini recorder, and we want to make sure that our audio codec is checked. And then I'm going to come up to my speaker, make sure that that's up, make sure my meter's up, and make sure that my stereo source is correct. Don't have to change the scaling or anything like that. I'm just looking at the audio properties, and I've got the whole thing on the soundboard turned down pretty good. So as I would turn that up more, then you would see those levels bounce. That's where levels typically you would like to see your announcers probably talk somewhere in the neighborhood of this so that when they get real loud, they can bounce it, and it's just not quite bouncing up here to the 0. So this is a good level to have. So when you're selecting your soundboard and whatnot, and again, I'm also speaking. You can't see this in the stream, but I'm actually holding the headset in front of me while I'm talking into my earbuds as well. But I've got my soundboard now into the shot. So that is our main shots and all of that fun stuff. So what I can also do, just as in previous versions, I can change the audio just right here with my clicks, so I can uncheck the mini recorder. That's still live. I just wanted to check that real quick. But I've still got my codec. I have audio for the scoreboard if I really wanted it. Excuse me. I can also rename my shot here. And so I don't need to, because the mini recorder was the first thing that I brought into this shot. That's what it named it, but I can actually rename it here and title it main, and it changes down here as well. I like to make sure that I've got different shots named different things. For instance, we would, if we were doing a game, we would duplicate this shot, and then I'd click on it, and instead of the codec, I would take away the codec, but I would add a media file, and I would go to my folder that I've got saved on my desktop called my Wirecast files. Or my Wirecast templates, which is where I have all my files. And I would add an MP3 file that we purchased so that we could actually have it in our stream. There's all sorts of royalty-free music out there as well. So now the audio of this shot is not the mini recorder. It's not the scoreboard. It is actually this song. So I'm going to make sure that the only audio is, yep, there's dubstep MP3. So if I sent this shot live, you would hear the song and nothing else. This is also where it gets important when you bring in a song to make sure that you check your audio levels. I usually start, when I have a song, I usually start it at like 50% just so that it doesn't blast somebody out. So now I can rename this one, and so I would name this one music so that I know, or my producer knows, that when I'm going to switch cameras, my main shot has the soundboard so that I, as the announcer, can do the announcing. And if we have music that we want to see the camera, but we don't want to hear the soundboard audio, then I've got that music shot. So I've got two separate shots here that are lined up and ready to go. And if I wanted to hit the music to go live, I come over here and I hit my transition. And now, if you guys can hear that, now I've got music coming out of the playing from dubstep. So I'm playing it from my shot list. And I'm going to mute you now so I don't hear you anymore. I've heard that song before somewhere, which is actually, the song for what we do for every game. So that's where I would hear it. And I've got that. And then when I was ready to take my main shot. So the cool thing about doing the duplicating of the shot is that the shot itself doesn't change, just the audio source. So nothing looks any different. And to go on with that. So that is the Wirecast tutorial. Are there questions, comments, thoughts, or concerns? Any questions?
One thing I had,
yes,
was the scoreboard across the top, where you were moving the stack all around. So can you do that with the top one? Can you, instead of putting it on the top, can you put it on the bottom?
You most definitely can. Let's go to, I'm going to get on my hotkey menu. So I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to go to my logo design, and let's go to this scoreboard. So I'm going to reconfigure how this looks, right? So I need to change my cropping, obviously. But yeah, I can go across here, top, and so yeah, I could still move this however I would like. So I can scale it down, and I can move it to the top, and I can. Yeah, that's the really nice thing about 7 is it makes it super, super easy to scale this thing and move it around and use the chroma key. I'm going to pick the key color, and I'm going to pick one of these. I'm going to not, and I'm going to. This is one of the reasons that we actually usually recommend setting up your scoreboard before you have your active camera going. It's easier to pick up that green. But the point is, to your question there, Heath, yes, you can move this thing however you'd like, whether it's the stack or it's the horizontal, because all you're doing is moving the screen capture around.
Okay.
And you can do that. So it's the same kind of thing here is that let me see here. See if I can find something quick. For instance, if you've got a class that has created a graphic and in Photoshop or whatever, and they've got a PNG file or a JPEG, and none of these. Well, this would give you the idea of it anyway. So I'm going to bring in this scoreboard graphic. Oops, can't see. Hold on a second. So this is a PNG graphic, and so I can come in here and I can scale this thing, or I can crop it, or however, and I can put it wherever I would want on the screen. And I'm still, as I'm going here live now, you can see this. So now this is all live. So now I've got my PNG up in the corner, and that PNG might be varying sizes. That's a small file, so I've blown it up. You see here, I've blown it up 232% from what it was. If I go back to my editing, I can see how big or how small or whatever. My XY rotation, I can give it a little angle. That can be fun sometimes. But yeah, those screen captures and the media files, you can you're doing you're just resizing all that stuff and clicking and dragging around.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. Any other questions? Audrey, you good to go?
I think I'm good.
Ready to stream tomorrow?
No. There's a lot of things already set up on this computer that I need to investigate a little bit more.
Okay. And sometimes it's actually more beneficial, especially if you haven't done it a lot. It's more beneficial to start like I did with a completely blank slate and build it out.
I was wondering, yeah.
Yeah. And then I mean, it's not a bad idea to maybe save a different template or save an old template so you can kind of look at what had been done before.
Right.
And so you can kind of recreate the same things. Biggest thing that I can say, and whether you're watching this live or on the recording, the biggest thing is the new templates that you should have gotten an email from either myself or from Sarah Bruni, who's new on our team, that had links to a new template. We have got to use that new template for you because the old template would go to Bright Cove, and this new template is going with the new player that we have, which is called Decast. And so it changes your output settings. And we found that sending you a new template was way faster. And then for you guys to just save that to your desktop and have that, build that template from scratch basically for the year was going to be way faster than us trying to go into all of your computers one by one and updating those settings. So that really just expedited that whole process. Otherwise, we'd have spent the next 3 weeks just trying to make sure everybody's laptop was updated. So the new template is definitely the one you want to watch and use. Cool. Any other questions I could ask or I can answer now? If not, then we'll let you get to some lunch here today.
Oh, I do have one question.
Oh, what do you got?
Now, how much of a difference is it going to make that you're using Wirecast Pro and I just have Wirecast?
Not a big difference at all. The difference between what you have for Wirecast and what I have for Pro is Pro has a few more customizable things than what the regular version will have. We have Pro because we have people that know how to use some of those functions, but you can most definitely get away with not having Pro. Pro and 7 and not Pro are going to look the same, basically.
Okay.
Just a few minor functions that Pro has that the regular version doesn't.
Okay.
Cool.
Will you be doing a live broadcast every week?
So, yep, this is the first of the Zoom sessions, and that is another something that is actually within your dashboard. I can actually, since I've got it pulled up here, I'll pull up Aurora's. So the timeline is what you'll see. So we've actually got, and I think it'll be going out very soon. Actually, we're doing a Zoom session, whether it is me or Taylor, or as we get into the school year, Austin is doing a few on some Adobe stuff. So editing pictures or video. Sarah's doing some that you can. There will be one of these every Wednesday at noon is when they will be live. And then just like this, we're going to record them and then we'll upload them and you'll find them in your dashboard. And I think they'll be somewhere over here. Weekly Zoom sessions is where it will be. So this is the one that you're watching right now is going to pop in, and we'll put the recording of it right here. So it's Wirecast for Beginners. So next Wednesday at noon will be Taylor talking about creating a digital media class. And then I'll do another one of Wirecast 101 that will be less setup and more some of the stuff that you can do within Wirecast, and then planning out a broadcast. So all of these, again, are right here in your dashboard, located over here on the left under weekly Zoom sessions. That'll be a very valuable resource, we think, throughout the course of the year. And obviously, we're still available if you've got questions that we haven't got to in a Zoom session, or maybe a Zoom session you see on this schedule is coming up way later than what you would like to get to it. We're kind of talking about Slack and Loom here in second week of October. If there's something in Slack that you'd like us to mention before, shoot us an email and we can do a phone call. We can do a specialized Zoom session just with you. So all that's coming up. And I believe actually, as I look here now, yes, if you need to upgrade your Wirecast, you can actually download the new versions of if you're going from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, you can actually download those right here from your dashboard, and we have that there. And also, the new templates are also in a Google Drive folder. You can find that here for Wirecast files. And logos and social profiles and all that fun stuff. Yeah, that's where we're at. Excited for the school year to start. Ready to go. Cool. Anything else you guys got?
I'm good for now.
All right. Well, then we'll let you go and let us know if there's anything else we can do for you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.